Spring 2008 on TSN is brought to you by the new Q horsepower from Quaker State. Unleash all your horses. And Michelin, a better way forward.
This is the 2008 Saturn Astra. It was Motoring's Car of the Year, and now it's a member of our long-term garage. And we'll soon find out if our initial positive impressions will stand the test of time, and we'll have updates over the next few months. But you know, speaking of General Motors, recently they introduced their new Pontiac Vibe, and they invited automotive journalists to drive it. Now, this is par for the course. They call it a press, ride, and drive. But you know, at the Vibe event, when journalists arrived, they realized things weren't kind of normal. I mean, journalists had Blackberries, and they were even taking pictures of each other.
Well, here we are in Toronto. It's wave one of the second city of the CatchTheVibe.ca tour. And we're about to have 4 teams head out and discover Toronto in a way that maybe they've never discovered it before.
It says Team Deleuze.
Oh, you can hit it twice.
We can't be Team Deleuze.
I can't quite figure out what's going on, but it sounds like a bit of a scavenger hunt where we've just been given a list of things we need to do today, giving strangers rides, taking pictures of various things around the city. So it's kind of, you know, do certain things with a car and find out about the city as well. They've got us sort of looking for the smallest house in Toronto, things like that.
We're gonna find 9 people and wedge them in here, and it's part of the challenge. Small people. The difference of this launch, normally it's a very structured deal where you get the presentation about the car, then you drive a specific route, and then everybody sits around and says, yeah, okay, that's what it was. This one you can make your own route, you can go where you want, do what you want to do, providing you're within the challenges that you're given, and so you really get to test it on your own. So it'll be a lot different, and hopefully not too long a day.
We're going to get our picture taken. Okay. Would you be able to take our picture? What you gonna do? We're going to sit down. If you could just take it. Yeah. Well, we have to. We're on a scavenger hunt. Thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you. Now I'm sending a photograph that I just took of my teammate and I of the Bryan Adams Walk of Fame star. I'm sending that to the CatchTheVibe.ca website. Girl power! Girl power!
It actually might very well be a better indication of how the car performs in the real world, trying to do all of these things than heading out into the country and driving around on some twisty mountain roads like we usually do. Everything that we're doing today, in addition to all of this scavenger hunt type stuff, we're documenting it and putting it up on a website that people across the country can follow. And you know, each team has its contingent of online supporters that apparently, you know, if your team wins, you get to win a Vibe for a year.
I love the Pontiac Vibe! That's what I thought you said!
Okay, there's Constantine, there's one. Hey, how we doing? Okay, where's Greg? He's on the phone. 2, 3. Go downstairs and start getting in that Vibe.
You want me to go?
You're going right in the driver's seat. Here.
Walter, hang out the roof.
Hang out the roof.
Watch your head, Constantine.
Okay. Okay, we're in. Oh, okay, everybody out. Okay, yeah. We're... That was great. It was fun. We got everybody in there. It just shows how many people this thing will actually hold, because these aren't small guys. And now they can all go back to work, and we can get on to the next challenge.
So everybody needs to send me a text that says I have caught the Vibe.
The new one is a big improvement, just styling-wise, and also the interior quality and the performance as well. The all-wheel drive Vibe with the 2.4 liter is really fun to drive. The old Vibe was a good car as well. It's just improving on that platform, and you know, they've just updated it for 2009, and the all-wheel drive option is nice, and I really enjoy driving it.
I like the Vibe, the new one here. It's got 158 horsepower, it zips along pretty good. The thing I like about it most is the steering with the all-wheel drive. It's really light. A lot of times all-wheel drive cars, the steering's kind of heavy. This one's really light. It's good. You can hardly notice it's all-wheel drive.
It was quite a day. We had a list of, I think, 29 challenges of various sorts to do, and I think we got all of them. And in doing so, we put about 200 kilometers on the car. It's a much improved car over the last generation Vibe. In particular, the engine smoothness quietness, and the power is a lot better. It rides much better on the highway. It's got a really tight turning circle. We made a lot of U-turns today. But you know, there's still some things that I think that they need to work on. In particular, the luggage compartment is all hard plastic, and our stuff was sliding around and banging against the walls all day today. So. But other than that, it's pretty good.
Oh, and you know the best part about today is I got one of these. You can get yours at motoringtv.com. See ya.
I'm going to be giving away a couple of free tidbits on the show a bit later, and I hope I don't get fired. More later on Kenzie's Corner.
Subaru's president thought the first one was a mistake. This week on Test Drive, the all-new third-generation Forester. The latest Forester is an appreciably larger vehicle than the one it replaces. The most telling difference is the stretch in the wheelbase. At 2,615mm, it's a substantial 90mm longer than before. The body is also stiffer than the outgoing car, which brings better handling and fewer creaks and groans whenever the body is torqued. This and the addition of framed windows cuts the extraneous noise to limo-like levels. Around at the back, the expanded dimensions work wonders. To begin with, much more space with the seats up and a ton of it when you fold them both flat. The other noteworthy point, the shape of the opening. It's been squared off nicely. That means you can put a much larger box in this Forester than you can in any of its competition. The one disappointment, this tailgate glass should open independently of the tailgate. It does not. Power comes from one of two engines. The base 2.5-litre unit pushes a respectable 170 horsepower and 170 pound-feet of torque. For the most part, it's up to the task of hauling the Forester around with the required gusto. However, adding a turbo to this engine brings a much keener work ethic. 224 horsepower and 226 pound-feet of torque brings a much bigger smile, especially when you're trying to motivate 1,550 kilograms of automobile. The Tester featured a 5-speed manual box. The gate is clean and the clutch bite's in the right place, and there's also a hill holder function. Now this thing prevents you from rolling back on a hill when you're getting ready to pull away. One of the things that separates the Forester from its immediate competition is its all-wheel drive system. Now if you go with the manual gearbox, you get a viscous coupling. That's what separates the power front to rear. However, if you upgrade to the automatic, you get a multi-plate clutch. It makes a world of difference. Rather than having to wait for the wheels to spin before there's any power distribution, it thinks, hold on a sec, could be wheel spin when I pull away. It locks the clutch before the wheel spin occurs. That adds more predictability and more stability, which is exactly what's required when the road gets slippery. The advantages run a lot deeper than just the ability to predict a problem. The horizontally opposed boxer engine lowers the Forester's centre of gravity, and the fact that the entire drivetrain sits on the longitudinal centerline of the vehicle means it's all balanced. And unlike so many, there is zero torque steer when you pour the coals to it. The biggest change is that both the manual and automatic systems now use the anti-lock brakes to apportion the power left to right, rather than the previous car's limited slip rear differential. I still prefer a proper limited slip diff because it does a better job. If you go back a couple of short years, Subaru interiors were almost quirky. This new Forester, very nicely done indeed. Top-notch materials throughout and a very logical layout. There is, however, a package you must take, and that is the touring package. Amongst other things, it includes this large, airy sunroof. It really does lighten up the interior. The other thing it adds is an important winter safety item, wiper de-icers. Now these things really do help in winter, and they should be standard equipment and not bundled up in an expensive package. When it comes to handling, all of the technology Subaru packs into the Forester pays surprising dividends. The front struts and new double wishbone suspensions limit body roll without making the ride harsh. Ditto the steering. It's nicely weighted and brings a fast response to driver input, as was witnessed by the pylon test. And if you venture off-road, well, there's 225mm of ground clearance and a long travel suspension that makes light work of some pretty challenging terrain. This third generation Forester is the class of the segment, and it boils down primarily to the all-wheel drive system. The one that's tied to the manual box is very good. The one that comes with the automatic is even better. So do yourself a favour, upgrade at the time of purchase. Likewise, do the same. Drive both the naturally aspirated and the turbocharged engines. Don't make a mistake after the point of purchase.
Michelin, a better way forward.
All of our tires that arrive, they're all produced in France, and when they arrive, they're all checked in, kind of like a library book, if you can think of it that way. So they're all checked in into our computer system, and then when the teams show up right before the race and we hand over their tire, they're checked out to the team. So the team then becomes responsible for where the tires are. At the end of the race, the teams come back, get the tires dismounted. Well, we check the tires back in. So we know exactly how many tires we brought and how many tires we're leaving with. And those numbers have to match. If there's the tire missing, we go looking for it. We offer 5 different compounds of tires, so from hards to mediums to soft. So the teams have a choice of which tires they want to run. As the tires come in, they're checked off, so we know exactly which serial number of the tire is assigned to each car.
We're just marking the team and the lot number, the side that it's on, the position, and then the barcode identification, so we can store it and be able to go find it in the trailer.
This is very high technology. It's a very serious racing series, and everyone is looking for that added edge. So, you know, we have security, we have the tires are locked up. This is why all the tires are counted. This is why the trailers are always facing us also, so we can see what's going on. We don't allow anyone in the trailers. We allow no one to hang around too much, too long. It's a very controlled environment.
Well, as racing gets more professional, you're seeing that, and not just with tires. You're seeing teams, covering wings. They've been doing that for years. But tires is the first I heard of doing it was Michelin, where they became completely secretive about how they handle their tires. They're leased, they're not purchased, and it's a privilege to get Michelins if you're on. They have what they call confidentials, and then they have customer tires. And if you're on confidentials, you're giving the tires back. You don't keep them.
We take all that data. We take the data that we learned from Corvette, from Acura, from Porsche, from Penske, from Ferraris, from Audi. All of these great manufacturers all have cars that are different. So the data coming in is so extraordinary, and then we bring all the tires back. All the tires come back to us. Our tire engineers that are embedded in the teams have tracked how many laps that tire did, the ambient temperature, the pressure that was in the tire, and then the temperatures when it came on and came off. So they've got a history. Each tire has a history to it, and that's how we learn.
Closed captioning of Motoring 2008 is brought to you by the all-new 2009 Pontiac Vibe for the drive of your life.
We're going to join Bill in the Quaker State Garage in just a moment, but first I want to remind you that the Motoring TV website now has a new look and some exciting features. I mean, let's say you missed the broadcast on TSN. You can now go to motoringtv.com and check out an episode, and as we start to wind things up here, you'll actually be able to go back and check out an episode from Motoring 88, and I know that some of our viewers weren't even born then, and among other things, you'll actually get to maybe check out the young Bill Gardner. For now, let's head to the Quaker State Garage and join, shall we say, the more mature Bill.
Brad, thanks. One of my pet peeves is all these vehicles running around today with different tail lights, signal lights, headlights, side marker lights burned out. It's just incredible. You know, when I'm in the passenger side of a vehicle, somebody else driving, I really pay attention at intersections. I look around, I see an incredible number of vehicles with lights not functioning. No excuse for that. You need to do a circle check on your vehicle, just like the big rig truckers do periodically. Make sure everything's safe to go in your car. It's a simple deal to do. You can have a friend help you out, activate all those lights and make sure they're working. If you go through a fast lube bay, they should be doing that for you. In most cases they do. Now, when you find that you've got a light burned out, where do you start? Well, great place to start, your best resource is your owner's manual. First of all, you can go in there and find out, okay, I've got a brake light burned out. They'll tell you the part number of the bulb you need to go buy right in here. You don't need to take it apart and look at the actual bulb. You can go and buy the bulb so you've got it on hand. Secondly, you can go through to that bulb replacement section, and owner's manuals on modern cars have really improved in this area. They tell you all the little tricks to get these different lamp assemblies out of the vehicle, and there's often special things that you have to do, and if you didn't know those procedures, you wouldn't easily get that lamp out, or you might break it getting it out. So consult the owner's manual. By and large, they're going to give you great instructions to get that lamp out. On our 02 Yukon, taking the taillights out is dead simple. Just 2 Phillips screws and out she comes. Now, you can consult your owner's manual and it'll tell you all the special procedures to get the lamp assemblies out on your vehicle, and sometimes there's some tricks you want to know. On this one, removing the bulb, you just press that tab up and give it a slight turn counterclockwise. When you turn it back, you can hear it click into lock. Just turn it over like that. Make sure you're wearing leather gloves. This is a newer vehicle with a wedge-based bulb, so it just pulls straight out. You want to make sure you're wearing those gloves because every once in a while that glass will shatter. You don't want to get a bad cut. Now, on the older vehicles, the bulbs had a metal base to them, and you pushed in and turned slightly to lock them. Same thing to remove, push in, turn slightly counterclockwise to release. Now, for some reason, these older metal-based bulbs seem to last longer. The newer wedge-based bulbs, I suspect they're maybe a little bit cheaper. You can see a plastic base, no metal at the bottom, just the conductors that go up to the bulb filament. And this type of bulb, for some reason, just doesn't seem to last as long. In any case, no matter what your vehicle is, make sure you're doing a periodic check. Get the bulbs replaced as soon as they burn out. Keep your vehicle safe. Till next week, I'm Bill Gardner for Motoring 2008.
David Booth is one of this country's foremost auto journalists, and he never shies away from giving his opinion on the state of the automotive world. At this year's Detroit Auto Show, David said he was very impressed with the direction General Motors is now going, building vehicles that people actually want. However, when the subject turned to Ford,
I'm impressed with Ford's new product in terms of their future. The Verve, the Explorer America concept, will it get here soon enough? But more troubling is their almost evangelical approach to there's nothing wrong with Ford right now. I keep looking for Jim Jones, the Kool-Aid, and exiting the door of the stand before I'm poisoned with arsenic. You know, I mean, it's very bizarre. There's absolutely no admission, seemingly, that there's anything wrong with what's going on. At least not publicly. I'm assuming that behind closed doors, they've sort of noticed that things aren't really, really great.
Jay and Richard, we're really glad you're here.
Thanks, Matt. I can't find a single person at the Kansas City Assembly Plant that isn't excited about building this great truck. Jay?
And Matt, you can count on Dearborn Truck to launch the best in quality built truck in America.
It's just a little too rah. It's almost like a church revival meeting, and I'm just not into that kind of thing. And to me, it hurts a bit of their credibility. I want to know what the problems were and the acknowledgement of those problems before I'll believe their solutions.
I've got a couple of statistical tidbits for you today. First, I was speaking with Reed Bigland, who's the president and CEO of the new Chrysler Canada the other day, and he pointed out that Jeep Grand Cherokee sales in Canada are now running about 75% diesel. That's a big number, but it's a pretty great engine, a Mercedes-Benz V6, and it gives you the size and carrying capacity of a big vehicle with pretty decent fuel consumption. But that same number in the States is only about 5%. Now, part of that is that the diesel infrastructure in the States is not as sophisticated as it is in Canada, and the price, I mean, it's 80 cents to $1 more per gallon than regular unleaded fuel, so it'll take a while. But the other statistical tidbit I've got for you is that despite all that, the percentage penetration of diesel in passenger cars in the States is still higher than hybrids. Now, you'd never believe that by reading the popular press. I guess if Susan Sarandon drove a diesel instead of a hybrid, you might know more about it, but she's Susan Sarandon, so as far as I'm concerned, she can do whatever she wants. But diesel is coming back. Audi isn't racing and winning at Le Mans with diesel-powered cars just for the heck of it. They're not only the fastest cars out there, they're the most fuel efficient, and they're also the quietest. The new technology really is amazing, and Audi's going to be using TDI, turbo diesel injection, as part of their brand development strategy over the coming years, just like they used to use Quattro four-wheel drive. It's part of their technology framework that they're trying to build their brand around. Mercedes-Benz, BMW, they're all getting back into diesels. Volkswagen's coming back into diesel as well. But you know, if you were thinking, why doesn't somebody combine diesel and hybrid together? Well, you wouldn't be the first person to think about that, because Volkswagen showed a concept like that recently. Whether it comes here soon or ever, we don't know for a fact, but it is going to happen. Diesels are more efficient, 30% less fossil fuels than gasoline, and nowadays they're even faster. Yes, there is a price penalty to pay to buy the technology in the first place, but you do make it up quicker than you do with a hybrid. Now, if you combine diesel and hybrid technology together, we might really have a winner. And compared to something like ethanol, you don't have to burn your lunch on the way to the restaurant. So is there a diesel in your future? If you're lucky. I'm Jim Kenty.
As I mentioned earlier, the 2008 Saturn Astra, Motoring's Car of the Year, is now in our long-term garage. We'll be giving you updates over the next few months, and of course, we'll probably have the odd pet peeve. But I'll tell you one thing that will not be a pet peeve, and that is the looks of this vehicle. Love the design, always like hatchbacks, and hey, who can argue with the color? And you know, with gas prices rising, you're going to see more vehicles, hopefully on the road, of the Astra's size. And speaking of rising gas prices, we're getting together once again with our friends from CanadianDriver.com. We're going to have something called the 50-liter challenge. You don't want to miss it as we continue to bring you more stories about cars and the people who drive them.
Changing engine oil is just like using dental floss. You don't need to do it, but by doing it, you know, you are able to really maintain the health of your teeth for the long time. I think you can use the same analogy in engine oils. Engine oil is really the lifeblood of an engine.
Motoring 2008 on TSN has been brought to you by the new Q horsepower from Quaker State. Unleash all your horses, and Michelin, a better way forward.